The trees stood tall, ancient sentinels in a world of shadows, their branches intertwined, a leafy canopy blotting out the sun. Whispering Woods, they called it, a place of secrets and shadows, a place where the sunlight dared not reach. The air hung heavy with the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves. The silence was broken only by the rustle of unseen creatures and the whisper of the wind through the trees. The path was overgrown and treacherous. Tangled roots reached out like grasping claws. Thorns tore at clothing and skin, but still they pressed on, drawn deeper into the heart of the woods, by curiosity or perhaps something more sinister. The forest held its breath, waiting, watching. The manor loomed out of the mist, a spectre of grey stone against the darkening sky. It stood at the end of a long-forgotten driveway, receding back into the woods like a phantom limb. The manor was a testament to decay. Its windows were dark, empty eyes staring out at the world. The once grand facade crumbled and decayed. Nature was slowly reclaiming what was hers. The air grew colder as they approached. The oppressive silence pressed down on them. A sense of dread settled in their stomachs. This place held stories, dark and terrible stories. The wind moaned through the broken window panes, a mournful sound like the cries of lost souls. The manor beckoned them closer, promising secrets and whispers of forgotten things. Eamon Grey was a man obsessed, consumed by the darkness that lurked within the human heart. He spent his days in solitude, surrounded by dusty tomes and bubbling potions. He delved into forbidden lore, seeking the secrets of life and death. He believed that fear was the most potent magic of all. He sought to harness it, to wield it as a weapon. Eamon was a recluse, feared and shunned by the villagers. They whispered of his experiments, of the screams that echoed from his manor at night. They spoke of shadows that moved with unnatural speed, and of creatures that stalked the woods, twisted mockeries of nature. Eamon cared nothing for their fear. He reveled in it. It fueled his magic, made him stronger. The ritual was long and arduous, a symphony of dark whispers and forbidden incantations. Eamon worked tirelessly, his eyes burning with an unholy light. He had gathered the ingredients over many years, rare herbs and artifacts of power. But the most important ingredient was fear itself. He had captured the essence of terror, from the screams of the dying, from the nightmares of the living. He channeled this fear into the mirror, a conduit for his dark magic. The air crackled with energy. The room pulsed with an unseen light. Eamon poured every ounce of his being into the ritual. His body ached, his mind screamed, but still he pressed on. Until finally, with a blinding flash of light, the ritual was complete. Section 5. The Spectre's Reflection. The mirror stood in the center of the room, an obsidian oval framed in silver. Its surface was dark like a pool of liquid night. But it was not its appearance that was unsettling, it was what it reflected, or rather what it did not. For the mirror showed not one's physical form, but rather their deepest fear, their darkest nightmare. The fear it reflected was not an illusion. It was real, tangible, and it could touch you, hurt you, even kill you. The mirror was more than just a magical object, it was a window into the soul. Portal to the darkest recesses of the human psyche, and it was hungry. Section 6. Whispers on the Wind. Stories of the mirror spread like wildfire. Whispers carried on the wind, tales of its power, its ability to expose the darkness within. Some dismissed it as mere superstition, a ghost story told to frighten children, but others knew better. They had seen the mirror's power firsthand. They had seen the fear in the eyes of those who had dared to look into its depths. The legend of the spectre's reflection grew. It became a tale whispered in hushed tones, a warning to those who dared to venture too close to the manor in the woods. The mirror became a symbol of fear itself, a reminder that everyone has something to be afraid of. and that sometimes our greatest fears are the ones we keep hidden from the world and from ourselves. Section 7, The Adventurers. They were drawn to the manor like moths to a flame, a motley crew of adventurers, each with their own reasons for seeking out the spectre's reflection. There was Kalen, the stoic warrior, haunted by the memory of a battle lost. He sought to conquer his fear, to prove his strength. Ilara, the nimble rogue, her past shrouded in mystery. She craved the power the mirror offered, a weapon to wield against her enemies. And then there was Finn, the bookish scholar, driven by a thirst for knowledge. He sought to understand the magic of the mirror, to unlock its secrets. They were a study in contrasts, bound together by a shared sense of adventure and a healthy dose of fear. They knew the risks, but they were willing to take them, for the chance to face their fears, to see what lay hidden in the depths of their souls. Section 8. Faces of Fear. One by one they stepped before the mirror, their reflections twisted into grotesque parodies of their deepest fears. Kalen saw a battlefield littered with the bodies of his fallen comrades. Their accusing eyes stared up at him. He felt the weight of their deaths on his shoulders. The guilt threatened to consume him. Ilara's fear was more insidious. She saw herself trapped in a cage of her own making, her past mistakes closing in around her. The fear of being alone, abandoned by those she cared about most, gnawed at her insides. Finn's fear was the most subtle but no less terrifying. He saw his reflection fade away, his mind becoming a blank slate. The fear of oblivion, of losing himself entirely, filled him with a cold dread. Section 9. Eliza's Discovery. Eliza, the group's healer, was the last to face the mirror. She approached it cautiously, her hand hovering over the smooth surface. She had seen what it had done to her companions, the terror it had unleashed, but she was different. She had faced death before, stared it in the face. She had seen the worst that humanity had to offer, and yet she was still here, still standing, still fighting. So what could the mirror possibly show her that she had not already seen? She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever horrors awaited her. When she opened her eyes, she was met not with a reflection of her own fear, but with something far more terrifying. Section 10. The Shattered Reflection. The mirror's surface rippled, like water disturbed by a stone. The reflection of the room around them wavered, and then it shattered, cracking into 1,000 pieces. Eliza gasped and stumbled back, her hand flying to her mouth. She had expected to see her own fear reflected back at her, but this was something else entirely. This was power, raw, untamed power. The room pulsed with energy, the air crackled with static, the mirror's magic, no longer contained, lashed out. Tendrils of dark energy snaked through the air, wrapping around the throats of her companions, squeezing the life from their lungs. Eliza watched in horror as her friends thrashed and choked, their eyes wide with terror. She had to do something, but what? Section 11. Eliza's warning. Eliza knew what she had to do. She snatched up a fallen candlestick, the silver glinting in the dim light. She raised it above her head and brought it crashing down on the mirror's surface. The sound was deafening, like the roar of 1,000 storms. The mirror shattered completely, exploding outwards in a shower of shards. A wave of energy blasted Eliza back, knocking her to the ground. She lay there for a moment, gasping for breath, her ears ringing. When she finally sat up, she saw that her companions were stirring, coughing and sputtering, alive. Eliza knew that she could never erase what they had seen, what they had experienced, but she could warn others. She pulled out her journal and began to write. In a shaky hand, she scrawled a single sentence. Beware the spectre's reflection. It shows not what you are, but what you will become.